Peace and welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation today. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about what's happening down in Georgia as the senatorial race runoff is going to be happening on Tuesday, and what we're seeing right now, what we're expecting right now, as Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker go head-to-head for the Senate seat of the state of Georgia. We'll be checking in and get some thoughts around that. Also, can we talk about the significance of Hakeem Jeffries being the leader of the House Democrats? We'll talk about this with Brother Michael and Hotep to get his take on it and where it fits in the big scheme of political power. And then later, does LeBron James has a point, as he said in a recent press conference talking about the double standard of attention that Jerry Jones got for a controversial picture of him at 14 years old at a major protest in Little Rock, Arkansas back in 1957, and what Kyrie Irving has gone through. I'm gonna play for you that video and make your take on that. So we got all of that to cover, so let's stay with us. There's a lot to go through, and you're staying tuned to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, peace and welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, let's jump right into it because we got a lot to cover today as we're looking at what's happening down in the state of Georgia, as this is the last day of early voting for voters down in Georgia for the Senate race between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, Reverend Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. And this is a big, big race that the whole country is watching as this race got to this point, because even though Raphael Warnock was able to beat Herschel Walker in the general election by 37,000 votes, it was not enough to make the requirement for him to be called the official winner of that race. So we're at this point. And there has been a lot of activity, a lot of movement, as you've been streaming to us here on Black Star Network. We have been streaming some things that Brother Roland has been doing down in Georgia, talking to a number of people. But this is the big race. Today, is it expected that former President Barack Obama is going to be spending the day with Reverend Raphael Warnock to get people out to vote, as, again, this is going to be the last day of the early voting. Take a look here, folks. The president is going to head to Georgia. He's going to seek big early vote advantage. Now, here's the thing. The Herschel Walker's Republican team has already acknowledged the fact that Warnock may get a good amount of votes in this early voting period. However, they're still optimistic, even though they haven't spent quite as much time or has been quite as aggressive as the Warnock campaign to go on the offensive. But they still feel confident that Walker will still be able to pull out a victory in this race. All right, let me check in with my big man, my favorite brother, one of my favorite brothers, Brother Rashad, who is a nonprofit leader. He is an activist, an advocate, family man, and he's a political thinker. That's what we're going to put him that way, political thinker. And give us his insights about what we're seeing down in Georgia. Brother Rashad, good to see you, brother. How you feeling, sir?
All is well, brother. Blessed and grateful. I can't complain. Always for the culture, man. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. All right, Rashad, a lot of people are watching what's going on down in Georgia. Some people are still surprised that it even got to this point. But that's neither here nor there. We're already, it is what it is. So we can't, can't think about what happened in the past. But at this point, do you feel like people are really going to come out and vote? Do you feel like this is the gravity of this race is going to compel voters to go to the polls?
I'm going to stay optimistic, brother. I'm going to stay optimistic.
Yeah.
That's the only way to live as a black man in America, and to try to keep some ounce of sanity. So I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm going to stay optimistic. I think do our Georgians understand the validity and the seriousness behind it? I think that they do. And I think that resonates based off of the, although it had to, because of the legalities that the runoff had to happen, that 37,000, I want to say a vantage point over the brother shows that our folks understand the seriousness in the times that we're living in. Now, I think it is critical for former President Obama to come down and to reiterate it, right, with his level of influence, his level of impressions, and his charisma to galvanize folks to come out again. That's the question in itself. Are our people as politically informed to know that they have to come out a second time to ensure that the candidate that they think is best fitting gets the votes that is needed? Right. I think what you spoke to, like the illusion, right? That fact that they know, the Republican Party know that they may not get the early voting numbers to reflect the early win. But we know, and we know this from history, we've known this from understanding how that party operates, that the Republicans, conservatives, and those that have these ideologies are going to show up, right? Because at that time, they understand the level of greater sacrifice. Now, what we have to do to make sure, that Brother Walker does not win is we gotta reiterate the reality of showing back up. And I think that's it. So all that to say is I think we understand the importance of trying to make sure that our brother wins that office, but we have to understand the I want to say the pinpointing part to the legality of how this election is, that he hasn't won, that the next time come tomorrow is that crucial moment down in that state of Georgia. And I think our people are going to do it. But I think these last 24 hours are going to be crucial. And I like the idea that they have called Obama up to bat.
I like it. The only thing is, Rashad, with the former president coming to bat, we all know what he brings to the table. He's a reminder in the political landscape of what we love, what we enjoy. Like he's Black America's president still. And I think even larger America's president still. But I'm not. I hope people do see the gravity of the situation. Now, personally, Rashad, I generally don't like to kind of weigh in and tell people how to vote, especially being a member of the media. Mm-hmm. But for this race, I can't hold back, man.
You tried your best.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like y'all can go through my media record. I'm not a biased guy, but for this one, bruh. And Rashad, and I know some Black folks, man. I know us. I know we some of us like, well, is he going Democrats? Bruh, if you vote for Herschel Walker for the Senate of the state of Georgia, where most of our people actually are. There are a couple of major states in this country where a lot of our people have migrated over the past 2 years. Georgia is one of them. Mm-hmm. Texas is another, right? If you vote for Herschel Walker, I'm telling y'all right now, you might as well leave the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
We didn't get Stacey Abrams in. Now you want to vote Herschel Walker in because he might be good for business. Lead the state of Georgia. I'm saying. All right, so look, I want to key in on something though. I want to key in on something, and Keenan and Ariel, let's put this first quote up on the screen because I want to key in on something that I think is very important, and I don't want people to lose sight of, because voter suppression is real, Rashad. So Here's the thing. Georgia voters has cast more than 1 million ballots ahead of the December 6th U.S. Senate runoff between Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker, with Warnock looking to juice an apparent Democratic head start in early voting with a visit Thursday from Barack Obama. So 1 million people have already cast their vote. But check this out, folks. This is what Mr. Warnock said, Reverend Warnock said. He said, I think the turnout we're seeing is good, and I want to encourage people to stick with it. He said, the other day, I went to the Slutty Vegan. Y'all know that trendy food truck that our sister owns down there. and the line was wrapped around the block, and folks still waited and got their sandwiches. I went and voted yesterday, and it was pretty painless. All right, let's take that quote off the screen. Thank you. If people can stand in line for a slutty vegan sandwich, if people can stand in line for a slutty vegan sandwich, and I never tried slutty vegan, but I heard they just fire, right? So I would stand in line for a slutty vegan sandwich. Please don't make no excuse about why you can't stand in line to vote.
Say that again.
For Raphael Warnock.
I like even how he put that, right? Because it wasn't this time when we played on like if you can stand in line for buttons. No, he put it to another cultural lane. Like if you can stand in line for food. Now the sisters
stand in line for a food truck. I think they actually got a stand-in restaurant now down. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. They got a storefront, if I'm not mistaken, right, Rashad?
Yes, down there. Yeah.
The point is, if you can stand in line for a sandwich, please don't complain about, man, the lines are too long to vote. And I'm with you, Rashad. I love how he put that. It just culturally, boom, right you in the head. Because that's how Black folks are. We will stand in line for what we stand in line for if we want it. We'll stand in line for some concert tickets. We'll stand in line for some food. But then complain about how long the line is for voting. Don't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all.
Yep. Only thing that his analogy omitted was the voter suppression that that they're experiencing in some pockets of Georgia. But besides that, the whole analogy in itself is key point. Right. We have to be intentional to prioritize and sacrifice what is needed for the better of our community, the better of our people. And I think we got to make sure that this, Brother Warnock is in there. I believe that. I know you have to try your best to stay as biased as you can. But look, as those that's following, it is not one thing. And I give it to our pastor, man. Jamal Bryant, he says, man, look, we don't need a walker. We need a runner. And this brother Walker himself is man, I've never seen nobody that shows up in a space of being a visible and a transparent puppeteer. I don't have him having any political insight, any political grit. It's one of those.
Hey, yo, Rashad, he's not even like a Manchurian Candidate. Y'all remember that movie? First, it was Denzel Washington was in it. But it was an older version of the original version of Manchurian Candidate. At least the Manchurian Candidate had some insight.
Right. I don't think they figured out they didn't figure putting the rest of his inputs on his dad and his algorithms yet. He just he'll have it, brother. I'm glad we got to make fun of this one because it's a serious, when it gets so uncomfortable, you got us as a people, our survival mechanism becomes jokes man. Because it's a dire need that it's dire laughter that has to come and follow behind this, man.
Look, and here's the thing. It's too much at stake. It's just too much at stake. And again, we didn't see the win for Stacey Abrams, right? And so, Georgia has to be in a position to make some changes. And that, like Brian Kemp, we already know how he rolls and what his allegiances are. But this is serious. And I mean, I know I can only imagine what Reverend Warnock may be going through. I can only imagine being like, I can't believe this. Like, this guy is still putting up a fight for me to even have to go through to the point of a runoff. You know what I mean? It's like, even as the winner, he's still got to deal with the fact that he's going to go down in history as having to have experienced 2 elections against Herschel Walker. A man that's not even qualified. 2 elections. You see what I'm saying? Like, he didn't blow Herschel Walker out. And see, really, it comes down to the voters. Here's the thing, you could put all types of candidates, Rashad, in front of the people, right? But if the people chooses a candidate through the system that we have, right? And I'm not saying it's a perfect system, but it's the current system that we have. If people choose a certain, it speaks volumes about where we are as constituents more so than about the candidates. Because you're going to have all types of candidates. But if the constituents Because I know there's some black folks that voted for Herschel Walker. I know they are. For whatever reason.
Evident. Yeah.
For whatever reason. I know there's some, of course, we know white people that voted for Herschel Walker, right? You know what I mean? But I know some people say, you know what, they tired of Democrats, so that was like a protest vote. I get that. I understand it. But at this day and time, we just gotta think in a long game. That's the big part. That's the big part. Let me just go to a couple of the comments from our online culture crew. Chris said, check this out, Rashad. My man Chris said, if I lived in Georgia, I would vote for Warnock's dog before I vote for Walker. Damn. Maybe the dog should run.
Get it? Run, not walk. Hey, but I can't. It's so refreshing to talk politics to somebody that gets it, because I look at this, man. This is the sport. And you know what brings me up to speed? It was on my social media, and it talks about the importance of us knowing the difference between our self-appointed leaders versus leaders that we decide on whom is reflective of our communities, and being skeptical of entertainers and athletes. And it's like this level of supremacy. I ain't even going to put a color tag on it, because we know what I'm speaking of, but it's to the point that the level of supremacy have gotten so innovative that they are now corralling persons and candidates that look like us based off our hue color, that doesn't have any sense of cultural relativity, context, or any backbone, to the point that because we're so displeased with the Democratic Party that we're willing to just give up and give it to anyone, right? And this is when we got to be more mindful of the candidate versus the party, because it's the candidate that's going to be on the Senate floor having to vote.
Right. Right. And that's a great point. That's a great point, bro. That is an excellent point, that at the end of the day, this person is still responsible for creating policy, voting on policy that affects each and every one of us. And this is not like, this is a statewide position. So this is going to hit much closer to home than, say, your presidential election. This is going to hit where money is coming into your neighborhood. You know, I mean, we talk about this all the time, Rashad. Once that money starts to get allocated, once resources start to be divvied up, once once representation, once you talk, figuring out what the numbers of black families are or poor families are in that part of the state, like, this is all important stuff, folks. This is not just they just running for Senate. Senate has a lot of power. It's actually more powerful than the House in some cases, right? So we know that. So can you imagine sending somebody? And again, this is not the candidate's fault. The candidates just show up. They present themselves. When we get certain people in government who seem to be, quote unquote, an embarrassment, and I'm even thinking like a Trump, or you could think of on the Democrat side. Some people, when Joe Biden speaks, some people start to cringe. But guess what? That's a reflection of the people. When you see that type of leadership, when you see like a Mitch McConnell, or when you see like a Ted Cruz, or you know what I'm saying? When you see that type of leadership, that's a reflection of the people. Because they didn't vote themselves in. That's a reflection on us as constituents. Now, I'm not going to get mad at somebody who making a choice. That's your choice. But when we make our choice, and then they show bad leadership, or leadership that is not for the people, again, that reflects on us. All right, let's take some more comments here. Nisa, 1971, my sister Nisa, you said Mrs. Pinky Cole's Slutty Vegans restaurant will have over 10 brick and mortar stores in the South and along the East Coast by early next year. She closed the deal for millions in venture capitalist funding. I saw her on that show, and thank you, Nisa, for updating us on that. I saw her on that show, Bet on Black. I think it's a show that her, Master P, and a couple other folks are on. It's like that. It's like a Shark Tank type of show for black entrepreneurs. Rashad, I don't know if you ever seen it, but
I've seen the commercials of it. Yeah, I'm
pretty. Yeah. So Yeah, so I'm glad. I'm glad that she's expanded. Big shout out to Pinky Cole for that.
She just had a book release as well, I believe.
Say it again.
I think she just had a book released as well.
I'm not surprised, bro. She might get him a movie by the end of the damn next year, bro.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Some documentary. I don't know. This is America, but you know what I mean? Once you get one success, then they all start popping off.
Hey, if they giving us Herschel, we might have to put give Sister Cole a run to be a candidate then. If they pushing up
I got family in Georgia. Bro, I got family in Georgia. I'm telling them to leave. I'm serious. If Herschel Walker, I mean, like, and I mean, we kind of joking, but I'm serious, folks. I'm serious.
Yeah.
If Herschel Walker is elected, that's just what are we talking about here?
Because now where's the balance? You didn't get Sister Abram. Now if Walker is in, it's 2 for 2. Like there's no balance.
We 0 for 2, bro.
It's a floodgate of endless possibilities that I don't think much is going to be in our favor. So sorry to be little just personable with that. But if that's the 0 for 2 at this point, if that is the projected wins coming in the next couple of hours or days or so. But yeah, brother.
Let me tell you, I would be embarrassed for the state of Georgia.
Same.
I'll be embarrassed for black folks in Georgia. Like, you mean to tell me I get it. Trust and believe, I get it. But you mean to tell me we that disgruntled that we gonna let that man? And I'm telling you, and I'm not, y'all going so hard on Herschel. You and Roland, I heard Roland goes in on that brother. But I don't need to go in on it because just watch a video. Just watch a video. I don't need to go in. I don't need to talk about, oh man, he can't do this, do that. Just watch a video, man. Yeah. Watch a video. Janelle, you checked in, my sister. You said, I wonder if Walker will even vote in Georgia. Didn't he declare Texas as his resident? Janelle, why you on my rundown? You all up on my show. Actually, that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to take a quick pause in a moment, but that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. The man has a residence in the state of Texas, and I'm going to share with you what he said. What he said. Nobody put these words in his mouth, man. This is what this man said. I'm gonna share with you that. So, Janelle, thank you for producing today's show. You don't like my music. You said if Warnock wins, we can tell Manchin to go home. Look, man. Look. With all due seriousness, Rashad, and I'd like to get your take on this. With all due seriousness, our political state of affairs is not hanging in the balance of this one race. But it's really what's the word I'm looking for? It's reflected because of this one race. It shows us where we are. And I think, to your point, there was a time where when you were running for office, you must have certain qualifications. I'm not talking about the age requirements. I'm not talking about the residency requirements. I'm talking about real of requirements. You study political law, political science, or you study law. You know what I mean? That level of investment. And I think that the one big concern that I have about this race, that with Herschel Walker's candidacy and other candidacy like it, you can want to run for office, but that's one thing. But but putting yourself to be qualified to lead the people in that space is another thing. And I think that if we're starting this is going to open the door, and this is only if Walker wins, that we'll open the door where we're telling people that you can go from football to running the Senate without real qualifications. Or you can jump from one thing to another just on your name alone. And I think that's dangerous in the long run. For the next generation, as a message, that's dangerous. We keep rubber stamping people because of name, past achievements, or we think that, we like their personality, and they're not actually qualified to be in a position of leading the people. What's your take on that, bro?
Brother, I agree with you. I ain't going to reiterate it because you said it the strongest point, but I will say this. We've seen this in so many instances from different states, from different cities across the country within the last 10 years, that us thinking that some of these skill sets to be a public servant is transferable from a football field, a baseball field, or a basketball court has not shown, or Hollywood has not shown any remnants of social progression, the advancement of this country, and to make sure that our country is living up to the creed of what it says to be. We have seen it over and over from California. We've seen it in other parts of Texas. We even seen it here in Maryland, that because someone has high visibility and credibility in one sector of the field that they're operating in does not serve as a qualifier for others. Until we can separate those that heighten our sense of sensationalism and viral sensationalism to those that heighten our sense of national security, national progression, we will continuously be in this predicament. I'm an avid reader. I read one time, it says, if you want to know the state of this country, right, we can always say, they look at the black woman, but I read another work that said, if you want to know the state of this country, pay attention to its music and those that they appoint in political offices of that time. And that says a lot about where we will be and where we are going, how we will look back in this in our history books. If we fall short on this, this will be another one of the times where we look back in our younger generation and had to be, what were they thinking about?
There it is, bro. I've read a couple of things from our online culture crew, Rashad. People are checking in. And big shout out to all of our new watchers today. One of the things that was brought up is that, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronald Reagan, these are two Hollywoods. Ronald Reagan was an actor before he became a political leader. Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, he was an action star before he became in that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best path to take.
Right.
We've seen it, but does that mean that it's the best path to take? You go through Hollywood to get to Washington, right? So it blurs the lines, I think, for a lot of people when we see people who are going from one high profile, high visible profession to another. And we believe that they are qualified just as much as there's the myth that just because you're rich, that you have morals and character, or just because you're wealthy, that you know how to run a city, run a state, or run a country. Doesn't mean that. Like, we got to bust up these myths. These ideas don't correlate with one another. At the end of the day, you still need to qualify yourself. If you are stepping into a public servant space, then you should read. You should be politically astute. You should know the law, and you should qualify yourself through that level of learning before you just jump out there and say, you know what, I got some ideas too.
Agree 100%.
Well, then what's the point? If there are, like, these requirements are necessary. So if we just bring in anybody, any Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Jane, or Sally, or anybody, then what's the point? What are we doing? Anybody could become president because they got a view? No, not at all. Not at all. So we will see. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about Herschel Walker's residence. Where does he live? Does he live in Georgia or does he live in Texas? I'm going to share with you what he had to say about where he lived, and I'm going to let you make your judgment on your own. Stay with us. That conversation is coming up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat to the Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood-Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We are continuing our conversation talking about the senator race runoff that's happening in Georgia coming up on Tuesday. And if you haven't had a chance to go out and vote, please, by all means, make sure you make your voice heard loud and strong, and definitely go to vote in this runoff election, especially for those residents of the state of Georgia. If you just moved to Georgia, if you have grown, if you were born in Georgia, go out and vote. This election is very, very pivotal. So definitely go out and vote. And I've been talking to my brother Rashad Staten, brother Rashad, who has given us some great insight and analysis as we look at this situation between Reverend Raphael Warnock, the senator out of Georgia, along with his Republican challenger, Herschel Walker. And just being very real, man. There's so much at stake for the state of Georgia, but I think it's so much at stake for democracy in this country. When we're talking about qualifications, when we're talking about, being a person who is able to do the job, not being somebody who's just used for talking points, somebody who's actually able to do the job. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, folks. I don't. Blackface doesn't do it for me, because it just doesn't do it for me. And let's bring Rashad back into the conversation here. Rashad, blackface doesn't do it for me, man. Like I'm looking at philosophy and ideas. I'm looking at principles. I'm looking at those things, right? Not necessarily just, we got a black man on the Republican side. That just doesn't do it for me. That doesn't wet my whistle, bro. That don't get me going. And
I'm the same way.
I think that, you know, when we're talking about political power in this country, when we're talking about Black representation in some of these high offices, you know, we have to, I think we need to really scrutinize. I think more so than the Democrat and the Republican Party, we as a community and as a group of people in this country who have undergone historic oppression in this country, we have to be much more vigilant and scrutinizing those who come before us, say to want to represent us in the United States government. Black skin is not just enough for me, bro.
Right. And we got to be willing to not be as gullible, right? To not think that skin folk is all kinfolk, and to realize that, hey, we have to have some level of accountability, some moral fiber, and some rubric to assess our candidates. I'm along with you. If I go into that voting booth, I myself am not just always voting in party alignment, and I'm all the time. It's not always voting for those that are the same race and ethnicity for me. No, because I'm politically astute and I actually are entertained and informed of politics, I actually look at the candidates. You know, sometimes you got to do additional research. You got to look at their resume. You got to look at what they've done in previous works, in previous positions, and what type of industry or level of education has they had, right? What if there aren't really qualifiers? What qualifiers do you deem is necessary for them to be eligible to have your vote yourself? Like, we all have our own individual power, and that own individual power comes down to your one vote. So what is your qualifiers that deems suitable for somebody to get your vote, right? And we can't always vote out of spite, right? Sometimes we got to vote in a collective thinking. Like we said, we know that the House or the Senate can be split up, and then it comes to who has more favor, who has majority and minority. Then it comes down to simple mathematics at this point, right? Although you might not be in favor of that, do you think that the Democratic or the Republican Party is going to have your favor in it? And then you got to look up, okay, we didn't get the governor role. We got to make sure that we actually acquire the senatorial role. We have to be able to look at these score sheets just like we're able to look at the score sheets when we're placing bets. Politics is a betting game, and you better be willing to put up your best numbers to get out the best outcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that Herschel Walker is under some scrutiny, Rashad, because of where he lives. CNN put this out there. Take a look at this. Check this out, folks. When the CNN, they said that Georgia Democrats have actually called for an investigation by state officials into Walker's residencies after CNN's K-File reported last week that Walker was getting a tax break in Texas intended for a primary residence, possibly running afoul of Texas tax law and some rules for establishing Georgia residencies for voting and running for office. According to Walker, he said in January of this year, "I live in Texas." When speaking to the University of Georgia College Republicans, he was criticizing Democrats for not visiting the border when he made the comments. He said, "I went down to the border off and on sometime." He also said, "Everyone asked me why did I decide to run for a Senate seat? Because to be honest with you, this is never something I ever thought in my life I ever do." He said, and that's the honest truth. As I was sitting in my home in Texas, and I was seeing what was going on in this country. I was seeing what was going on in this country with how they were trying to divide people.
I
was sitting in my home in Texas. He kept saying it. I was sitting in my home in Texas. See, this is why a situation like this is much bigger than just one man. It speaks volumes about the system. It speaks volumes about the state of democracy in this country. And you know, I'm critical about the state of democracy, but right now, again, that's the current system that we're a part of. Until a new system emerges that we can all galvanize around, this is the current system of things, right? So this is like when you have a situation like him just trying to take advantage. I mean, he's got this place. We all know he lives in Texas. Does he have a residency in Georgia? Does he live there? And how can you claim to run for an office in a different state from where you live?
Mm-hmm. I'm calling cap.
Come on, bro. Like this reeks of insult.
Foul
you know
play.
what I'm saying? Like this is insulting the intelligence of the American voter.
Yeah, I agree. It's manipulation at its finest peak. It's something that we've seen before. But as I always say, brother, I love this new word that they said. I'm calling cap. Cap to its finest thing. This is not something, when you file for candidacy to run for office, you have to go down through these screening processes, right? This is not nothing that you find in the final hour and try to use as some way of legality to offset their level of qualifications. No, this is something that you either knew at the forefront, you either tried to subdue and suppress that it wouldn't come out, or you knew that once it did come out, it would be little too late and it would just add to the momentum and the visibility of this election in itself. They knew this brother is not what would they, I would put this word because it's offensive when you say it in other lights, but I'm going to be completely honest with this. This brother is not articulated enough to not discredit himself in the manner that he's already.
Come on, bro.
He has already claimed his state residency. He's spoken to it. And he reiterates it over the time. Now, I don't know what is the qualifiers, but I don't think you can have two primary residency in two different states and run for political office.
Not in a state, not in a state situation. Not in the you can't run for office in one state and your primary residence in another state, right? You still have to establish a residency in that state that you planning to run in, right? Yeah. And that has to be your prime. How can you do that? I mean, just think about this. Like if you live in Texas, right, and you got a summer home in Georgia, let's just say that you got a summer home in Georgia. You go to Georgia 2-3 months a year, but your primary resident. Come on, man. Come on. Like, and see, this is what I'm saying. Like, if people aren't privy or they try to overlook a detail like that, then what are you really saying? That people, that it's okay for our political leaders to use loopholes in the system? It's okay, like we just give them, and that's the same thing we've done with Donald Trump, that folks did with Donald Trump, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there is we know Donald Trump has done all types of manipulations with accounting and money and all of this type of stuff. But people, we just tend to believe, well, he's still good with business. And it's like, but you can't see something that's right dead in your face. The man said he lived in Texas, man. And I saw African Doll, I saw your comment. You say he's born and raised in Georgia and played football in Georgia. Where does he live, sis? Where does he live? I'm born and raised in Baltimore, but I don't live in Baltimore anymore. So can I run for office in Baltimore if I don't live in Baltimore? Come on, sis. Like, come on. Okay, he born and raised there. Does he live there? It's a simple question. Let's not dance around it. It's a very simple question. And here's the thing: for the people that live in the state that you want to represent, is it fair to them that you got a primary residence in another state that you could just get up and dip to? I remember I remember reading the story of Ted Cruz. This may be like months ago. They had a major storm down in Texas, a big flood or something, a major storm. The dude takes his family and dips out, right? Taking family, go on a trip, before the storm hit. Like, bro, this is the type of leadership that you want? Come on, man. You lying to the people? And come on, man. Nah. So if you're lying about a simple thing, here's the final point on this, Rashad, and I get your take. If you lying about a simple thing about your residence, where you live, that means you will lie about a more complicated thing, such as a political issue. Where you stand on things. It's just simple.
Hey, Farajii, my last comment is this. You seen the signs early, sis. You seen the signs early, brother. You knew you had time to get out of this toxic relationship and to move on and to protect your own peace, your own sanity, and your own future. I'm going to continue to make light of this because it's a serious matter. But I am learning from our social media. Sometimes you just got to make things fun so that people can digest it, because those that are not as politically engaged, it will go over their heads, and the level of accountability is something that we don't talk at our dinner tables no more. This man, the level of the question of residency is so critical and important because it holds a level of accountability. Like you said, if something goes wrong, will that person up and leave, get on their private jet, or go to their other place of residency, and the person that elected you, voted for you, are now stuck in the same place in the hell house that you left them for because you didn't do your right to it. It's something that this is not breaking news, because it's not new news. Those who had made and have corralled him to be this candidate already knew that he had questionable residency. I put blame on the Democratic parties for not calling it earlier, and not looking into the legal ramifications of it as a deemed qualifier, because if that's the case, there wouldn't be no runoff, and we would already had our brother Warnock already in that office. It's got to be, and that's why I'm always saying there has to be two faces of accountability. For the Democratic Party that has a candidate that seems qualified, that is ready, that has a passion for service, has a long history of service in communities, advocating, level of activism, and has a good character and morale compared to his candidate, you have to be able to look at the cue card of those that sitting across the aisle from you and be willing to call out things that would not have you be in this situation at first. So I also put the blame on the Democratic Party as well. And I put it on those that are politically astute, that they should have been called this out.
And look, here's the thing. This is not the only instance where we're seeing this. Dr. Oz lived primarily in New Jersey, right? Ran for Senate in Pennsylvania, right? Just the same way that we see Herschel Walker living in Texas, running in Georgia. There's a law that states that they have to be a resident of the state they're representing at the time that they are elected, right? So when you look at the laws, and these are the type of laws, these things don't come up until, election time, or when there's a situation like this comes up. We got to look at the laws and say, okay, the laws need to be clear. They need to be changed. They need to be focused enough to say, and be fair to the people that you're running to represent. What kind of leader is going to be one thing? And it's just too much. On the local level, it's like a city council person or wardsman or alderman or somebody who's living outside of the district that they want to represent. How will the people know that they have their own representative, right? It's just, it's unfair to the people that you want to represent. How do I know that you really understand my needs, my interests, you know what I'm going through, my struggles, even my joys? If you're not there, you don't live there. I mean, why is that so hard? Why do we try to squirm through these loopholes, right? When that should be the first thing. Do you live in the place where you are running? It's a simple thing. It's a simple thing. And I think that, we can try to squirm around it and, oh my gosh, like, it don't have to be that way. But how are you going to give real service to those people if you're not present, if you're not accessible? Every time they call you, you want a flight somewhere because you're on your way home. I gotta go. I mean, we see it all the time. All right, let's go to Conscious Thought. Conscious Thought, you said, let us remember that Herschel Walker has the full-throated support, of Senate Minority Leader Addison Mitchell McConnell, Mitch McConnell, and the Republican senatorial cabal. Yeah, he does. He does. But look at the state of the GOP right now. So I don't even know if that support is enough for us to even have a conversation, Rashad. You know what I'm saying? But this just reeks of, you think that we stupid. That's what this sounds like. Like, oh, you think we dumb.
I want the time machine to move up 20 years, but when this becomes public information and we realize who's the names, the money, and the influence behind this one here, because it's not adding up, brother. And one thing about it, you ain't gonna play around with my intelligence. So Just even you reiterating and hearing his speech, brother. I lost some brain cells in itself. It's like we got, I always make these like trying to mirror the society that we have. It's like, all right, you can self-incriminate yourself in lyrics, but then when it comes to politics, you can slip up and it won't be held accountable.
Hey, hey, Rashad, do you know how you can mitigate all of that? Stop lying. That way you don't have to keep up. It's like a joker telling you a story. You like, hey, yo. So you be like, yo, what happened? Oh, so this what happened with that? What happened? Then you ask them again, what happened? Another new development, another new teacher. Why didn't you say that the first time? Oh, yeah. Oh, because I just remembered. Stop lying, bro. Stop lying. You know, and keep your story straight. Stop lying to us. Bro, it's insulting, man.
Totally.
It's totally insulting. All right, let me see if I can get a couple more in here. Ming Lee, Natasha Surge, you checked in and said, so we want Oz's and Walkers and Trumps instead of qualified people. That's the point of no return. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. See, after a while, Rashad, it's like you get the leadership that you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
You get the leadership. If you feel like you don't that you don't deserve good leadership, then guess what's going to happen? You're not going to get good leadership. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you just want a celebrity instead of a public servant or a servant leader, then guess what you're going to get? A celebrity and not a public servant. Not to say celebrities can't be public servants, but I'm just saying a celebrity and name somebody that's quote unquote great in name, quote, in past achievements or in other achievements other than the achievement of serving the people. If you want that, then guess what you're going to get? You're going to get that. We put people in office when there are telltale signs. It's like being in a relationship with somebody, right? You got red flags coming up all up along the journey, right? You finally get in a relationship with them, and then guess what? They disappoint you. And then you look back and be like, damn, I didn't even see that. We here on the culture, we're going to be that one friend that be like, you ain't really see that.
You didn't see it coming?
You didn't see that coming right here. Because I personally saw the red flag, and I'm not even in the relationship. Here's the red flag. Here's the red flag. Here's the red flag. Like, stop lying to yourself, man. Stop making excuses for stuff that is blatant and that is so in front of your face. Just stop it. We got to stop doing it. We justify madness, and then we scrutinize honesty.
Yep.
We scrutinize truth. We justify everything else, though.
I love it. I love how you put that one.
Man, come on. All right, Varnell, you said, I am so done with all of this. What kind of country has leaders that will talk about a person, not denouncing racism or hate, but the ones talking are silent as well? Shaking my head. As we wrap up this part of the discussion, it's not funny when your children, you mentioned this earlier, Rashad, it's not funny when your children has to bear the consequences of your poor decisions.
That's it.
Then it's not funny. Then it's not, because when your children ask you, if you in Georgia and if Herschel Walker gets, like, mommy, daddy, where were you when Herschel Walker was elected? Or where did you stand on that? I voted for him. And your children or your grandchildren say, well, why did you vote for him? Weren't they the red flags? You know what I'm saying? I remember talking to some elders, some family members of mine. And I asked them, having a conversation about like Dr. King and Malcolm X and just living in that time period. And I say, well, where did you stand on that? Oh, we didn't get involved in the civil rights movement. Why didn't you? Why didn't you stand with Dr. King? Or why didn't you take that walk with the doctor? Or do you stand with Malcolm X? Or why didn't you get involved? Oh no, we just didn't get involved. See, that's when you don't get involved in these big moments of our time and in history, and then things don't go at the way they should have gone, who's to blame? You can't blame nobody else other than yourself.
Yep.
If you got an opportunity to make history, then you should take the opportunity. We should not abstain from our level of engagement, or we should not, really take our decision making seriously just because. Why? Because you're gonna have to explain it years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
When people look at America in 2022, your children, when they grow up, or your grandchildren, what do you tell them about how you lived in this time? Do you tell them that you were on the sidelines, that you were just worrying about getting money? Or do you tell them I was active, granddaddy was actively engaged. Grandma, she was on the front lines when this was happening, that was happening. What's the legacy that you leave to your children when you got to make these historical decisions? Go ahead, bro. You got the final word on this.
Hey, brother, I say this all the time. It's going to be, we got to make a decision of what side of history we're going to be on. History is going to pass it, but every second that's taking place in the present moment. But every second and every present moment, we got a decision to make, to do the right thing or do the wrong thing, to do the moral thing or do the unmoral thing. And that the collective vision for this country is not to save this world for ourselves, but to save the world for the future that comes. So we got to look at it with a futuristic mindset, that these policies, these candidates that are running for office is going to put places in things that's not going to directly impact you probably within the first or 2 years, but it's going to do things that's going to impact generations to come. It's going to impact the money that's going to trickle down to you around home ownership, around education, around public safety, around public health. All of these things are contingent and very impactful on our everyday lives, that if you don't wake up and you don't, they're going to put a candidate in there that's going to continue to mummer you to sleep. And by the time we wake up, we are going to be back trying to figure out how do we wake up from a dream that we once saw and then living through a nightmare. Brother, I can't watch this, and I wait the next time that I want to be proudful of our state of Georgia by the time these elections come out. And I'll be saddened to see if we didn't do our part, but I'm not going to blame it on us because we're not the only ones that's going to be showing up to vote.
There it is. There it is. Brother Rashad, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on, bro. God willing, we'll talk next week when hopefully we get a decent outcome to this situation the next time we chat. But I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being with us and always being good for the culture.
Hey, peace, brother. Always for the culture. For the next 48 hours, I'm going to just flip through some pages of Baldwin and just start to get some quotes ready. Good or bad. Wonderfully prepared.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, brother. We appreciate you. Talk to you.
All right.
All right, folks. We got to talk. We got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk to Brother Michael Imhotep. We're going to check in with our brother to talk about the significance of Hakeem Jeffries taking the leadership role as the leader of the House Democrats, and what does that mean for Black political power. Also, in the next hour, we're going to talk about LeBron James and what he had to say about the double standard of media. So we'll have that conversation. So stay with us. A lot more coming at you on the next hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't wait till November 8th. We can vote today, y'all. Early vote started this week.
We're on Savannah State University's campus. We will be dorm storming today, giving out treats for everyone. We hope to see everyone at the polls when it comes to November.
If you believe we got power, let them know. Make some noise. Put a fist up. I need to see a fist in the air because we got power. Come on, you put it up. Come get your shirt. We're out here in the streets of Savannah, Georgia. James, do not forget to go vote. I got you. If we vote the right people in, we can make a change. We can get these resources in our community.
I am a woman, and it is important that we have the say-so of what we want to do with our bodies.
We're concentrating on entrepreneurism, providing young people with resources and training that they need in order to change their trajectories. We want Black down.
Democracy is on the ballot. Voting rights is on the ballot. Voting suppression is on the ballot. I am most passionate about those three combined because they all impact each other.
Savannah is my home. I care about my community, and I care about representation in my community.
Our voices are still going to be heard no matter what kind of obstacles try to come up against us to stop us from voting. We're still going to be standing our ground.
I see the effort that's being made to keep our communities from voting. So that makes me realize it's even more important, because if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be fighting to make sure we could vote.
This doesn't stop this year. This is a forever movement.
We're going to exert our power as a people, walk in our rightful place. We're going to change our communities, fight for our communities, and build our communities.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation as we are just going to be shifting gears, not necessarily away from politics, but just about person. We go from one Black man to another. And this one is one that is certainly making history. We're talking about Hakeem Jeffries, who's the congressman out of New York, who has been elected and voted, or who was voted to be the leader of the House Democrats, as he is taking on the role of House Speaker after Nancy Pelosi has decided to step down, not in full from her role as House Speaker, but she still is, of course, going to be working in Congress. But this is opening the door for his historic major moment that you have a Black man who is the leader of one of the national parties, both parties actually, and in this way. So we wanted to talk about the significance of this, and I couldn't think of anybody better to discuss this other than my brother Michael Imhotep of the African History Network. You can definitely check out his shows and, of course, the work that he's doing at the AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and so much that he brings to the table. So we're always happy to have him to talk about this great history-making moment. Brother Michael, good to see you once again, brother. How you feeling this afternoon? Wait a minute, we got you on mute somewhere.
All right, Farajii, I'm all right. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good.
It's a busy day. Okay.
It is a busy
lost
day.
Farajii for some reason.
You lost me? I don't want you to lose me, brother.
Testing. Farajii.
We got you. All right, we're going to have my team, Keenan, Ariel. Let's see if we can get our brother linked in here. I want to play a video. Hold on. We're going to get him together.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. All right, we're gonna work on getting our brother back. But I did want to play something of an area.
I was hearing them.
An area. I want you to let me know if we could play the video of Hakeem Jeffries when he talks about him being elected and the work that he plans to do with his colleagues. I want to play this video for y'all and in a moment, but I do want to share with you.
I'll drop out and come.
We'll just, I want to play this video of what Hakeem Jeffries had to say about the level of unity and where he plans to stand on this new role that he's been elected to. This is big, folks. I don't want you to think that a black man running and being the House Speaker is a small time feat. It's not small time by any means of the imagination. And so just let me know, Ariel, when we can get it. If we could play this video, this is going to be of Hakeem Jeffries, thanking his colleagues for voting him in as the House Speaker, and more importantly, what he planned to do. So let's move forward. Let's play that video for me, please, Ariel, of the congressman.
Honor to stand before you today as the incoming House Democratic leader for the 118th Congress that will convene on January 3rd, and to be joined by my two good friends, amazing colleagues and partners, the incoming House Democratic Whip, Catherine Clark, and the incoming caucus chair, Pete Aguilar. I also want to convey my thanks to Speaker Nancy Pelosi, an extraordinary speaker for the ages, who has delivered so much for so many over such a significant period of time. Our caucus is better, our country is better, the world is better because of Speaker Nancy Pelosi's incredible leadership. I also want to thank our current House Majority Leader, Steny Hoyer, and our current House Majority Whip, Jim Clyburn. We look forward to finding opportunities to partner with the other side of the aisle and work with them whenever possible. But we will also push back against extremism whenever necessary.
Hakeem Jeffries, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the first black man to hold the post of House Speaker. We got Brother Michael. Let's bring Brother Michael and Hotep back into the conversation. Brother Michael, we got you down, bro.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear. Appreciate you. Brother Michael, what does talk to us about the significance of this moment for Hakeem Jeffries and for the state of black politics, black political power? Is this something that you feel like Black America should be excited and celebrate?
I think we should be excited about it and celebrate for a moment, but we also have to understand that we have to understand politics, law, economics, and understand how to push an agenda. Hakeem Jeffries is brilliant. His uncle is one of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, one of our Grandmaster Scholar Warriors. I know his brother as well. So I interviewed his brother on my show. So Hakeem Sekou Jeffries is brilliant. He was one of the one of those who administered the impeachment, one of Donald Trump's impeachment. I think it was the first impeachment. He's represented New York for years as a member of the House of Representatives. He's a member of the Congressional Black Caucus as well. He is the first African American to be House Minority Leader of either major political party.
Yep.
And what this will allow him to do is to put front and center issues that impact everybody, whether it's the economy, whether it's inflation, what have you. It would allow him to give him a platform to put front and center how this disproportionately impacts African Americans, and also how policies will disproportionately positively benefit African Americans. Now, just like with President Barack Obama, we can't just sit back and think one brother is going to whip all these white people's behinds. It doesn't work like that. Okay, that's not how the real world works. Okay, we have to understand the groundwork. We have to understand that we have to understand how politics works, understand law. We have to read the U.S. Constitution, understand how to push a political agenda, and understand that we have to leverage our economics to enforce our political agenda as well. If you look at what's taking place right now with student loan forgiveness, Republicans don't support student loan forgiveness. I heard so many people call into talk radio, call in the Reverend Al Sharpton show, posts on social media, telling Joe Biden, saying all he has to do is sign an executive order. All he has to do is sign an executive order. Obviously, you've never been involved in writing an executive order. I actually have, for the city of Detroit. They had to do extensive legal research to make sure that Biden had the legal authority to do that. An executive order is not just signing a document. You don't understand, dealing with the federal government, this is going to impact 43 million people. Well, guess what? It's tied up in court. So he did the executive order. They put out a 25-page document explaining their legal rationale of why Biden has the authority to do this based upon the 2003 HEROES Act. And Republicans have sued and tied it up, blocked it in court. Now is going to the U.S. Supreme Court. So all the people who were saying all he has to do is sign an executive order, none of them saw this coming. None of those people weren't saying, wait a second, they have to make sure they're on legal grounds. That what happens when lawsuits are filed? This can go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and you got a 6-3 conservative Supreme Court. Okay, so this is why we have to once again, one brother ain't gonna go in and beat all these white people's behinds. No, you have to understand how all this comes together. And unfortunately, many of us are playing the game of political football and don't know the difference between a first down and a touchdown, and wonder why we're not scoring any points.
So that opens up the conversation, and I'm so happy that you mentioned that, Brother Michael. That opens up the conversation about tempering our expectations, right?
Yeah.
Because we do expect that Black folks get into these positions of power and that they're going to whip the system's ass, right? You know what I mean? And it doesn't work like that. What challenges do you foresee him, Brother Hakeem, having to face as he gets into this new role? Plus, it was reported by CNN that he plans on spending just 2 years in the minority before trying to become speaker himself after the 2024 election. So he's got his eyes set on the even bigger situation. So what challenges do you foresee him having to face?
Well, the reason why he has his eyes on being Speaker of the House of Representatives is because Democrats are anticipating taking back control of the House in 2024. After America sees how crazy Republicans are going to be for the next 2 years. Notice how they stopped talking about fighting inflation and fighting crime. And they're talking about investigating Hunter Biden's laptop. They're talking about investigating the origins of COVID-19 and Dr. Anthony Fauci. They want to investigate the investigators on the January 6th committee. Okay, they're talking about all of these. They're talking about all these investigations. Notice how they stopped talking about. I thought inflation was the worst thing. Kevin McCarthy. They have not presented a plan to deal with inflation. They have not presented a plan to deal with crime. Okay, so one of his biggest problems is going to be with dealing with chaos, utter chaos, from the Marjorie Taylor Greens, whose voices are going to be elevated, the Matt Gaetz, whose voices are going to be elevated, and there's going to be total chaos amongst Republicans, especially if Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House of Representatives, because he's going to cut so many deals, because they're only going to probably have about a 4-seat margin, maybe 5-seat margin. And because you're going to have so many crazies there, you're going to have people like Louis Gohmert and Jim Jordan, things like this. He's going to have to cut so many deals, Kevin McCarthy. The Republicans are not going to be able to govern. Okay. Now, it will help Democrats in 2024. You're not going to be able to get a lot of bills passed with these crazies controlling the House of Representatives, these Republicans, because no bill can come to the House floor for a debate or a vote without the permission of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. So people don't understand. You got to study. You go to house.gov, learn the rules of how the House of Representatives operates, which is different than the Senate. Okay, this is why back in when Representative John Lewis was still alive, and when Paul Ryan, Republican Paul Ryan, was Speaker of the House of Representatives. Remember, they had a sit-in on the House of Representatives floor trying to force Paul Ryan to take a vote on common sense gun laws. I don't know how many people remember this. They had a sit-in led by John Lewis on the House floor. They never took that vote. Why? Because the Speaker of the House controls this. And he didn't call for the vote. So we don't. A lot of times we think these elections are about one person. No, they're not. You have to understand how all this comes together. So we're in for a crazy 2 years, but we need to set this up for Democrats to expand their margin in the Senate, take back control of the House, and maintain the White House as well.
If we look at Black political power. You and I have had conversations, Brother Michael, when you question, the whole idea of a Black agenda, right? You broke that down very well. I think it was last week when we had you on. You talked about this, but when we talk about looking at 24, if Hakeem Jeffries is looking to be the House Speaker, versus being a presidential candidate, right? I mean, he's a rising Black star among the Democrat Party. He could possibly run, or is this too?
He can run, but he's gonna lose. First of all, when we look at those who have been successful in becoming president in the last 50 years, none of them came from the House of Representatives. Meaning, you don't go from being a member of the House of Representatives where you represent about 710,000 people to becoming president and you govern 330 million people. That don't even happen for white men. Okay, they're either senators or they're governors. Okay, or they're reality TV stars that got like 80 million followers on Twitter, something like that. Okay, but usually they're either senators or governors. Okay. If we go back and look, whether we look at George W. Bush, the son, governor of Texas, where we look at Barack Obama, senator from Illinois, if we look at Bill Clinton, governor of Arkansas, okay, this is how this happens. Or they were vice president, as in the case of Joe Biden, and that's the best experience to be president, vice president. You don't go from being Speaker of the House of Representatives to being president of the United States. And you also don't go from being a state representative to being vice president of the United States either. This is why I love Stacey Abrams. No way in the hell Stacey Abrams is going to become vice president. I love my people, but damn, we don't understand how none of this stuff works. No, you don't go from being a state representative, and that's the highest office you've had, and you never worked in the federal government before. This is why Kamala Harris was the best choice. Not only was she a U.S. senator, but she ran the largest Department of Justice in the country outside of the U.S. Department of Justice. That's the Department of Justice in California. You don't go from being in the state legislature to being vice president over 330 million people. The real world does not work like that, even for white men. So this is why we got to understand and stop wasting all this time and confusing activity with productivity and not getting the desired results.
So what should be the expectations that we should have around Hakeem Jeffries over the next 2 years, right? Because these next 2 years after this midterm election, these are going to be pivotal years between 22 and 24, not just because of Trump, just because of the direction that both parties are going in, GOP and Democrats, right? Democrats are still, I just saw a piece on CNN. They said that Jeffries is, that he's becoming a House leader at a time when the Democrat Party is running amok. He's becoming a House leader at a time when the GOP.
The Republican Party is running amok.
Oh yeah, running amok too. That's what I was going to mention.
But the Democratic Party is not running amok. They're more unified. That's why he was not challenged. He was not challenged.
But should we expect? Should we expect? I mean, he talked about in his remarks yesterday. He talked about challenging extremism coming from the other side. But should we expect something? Or should Black folks expect something from his under his leadership? As House Minority Leader, should Black folks expect something to come from them that we didn't see from Nancy Pelosi or anyone else?
I think you will. I think he will focus a lot more in on the on policies that benefit African Americans, on how we're harmed, how policies will harm us as well. He'll talk more about how policies coming from Republicans are going to harm us. He's going to highlight the plight of African Americans a lot more. We'll see this. I think he will have a much larger presence on Roland Martin Unfiltered than Nancy Pelosi did as well. Even though I would rather have Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House of Representatives than Kevin McCarthy. Okay, any day of the week. But she didn't do Roland Martin Unfiltered. She did it like I think once in the past few years, right? Right. So Representative Hakeem Jeffries will not be somebody who's absent on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You're going to see a presence of him on MSNBC, CNN, things like this, and he will speak much louder about how policies benefit African Americans and various policies that will hurt us as well, especially coming from Republicans. Now, the challenge is going to be getting bills passed. You're going to have to cut some deals with Republicans and focus on how, look, these policies are going to help everybody. Okay. You were not going to be able to get the most progressive policies passed in the House. For instance, the child tax credit. I doubt if you see that getting passed in the House. I don't even know if Kevin McCarthy will let that vote come to the House floor. So these 2 years, this is why I said Democrats really need to maintain control of the House, but it could have been a lot worse. Republicans could have picked up a lot more seats in the House of Representatives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, we're going to take a quick pause on this again. And I'm glad that you just brought up some key points. And, only time is going to tell, Brother Michael, as we know, about how this situation is going to play out. I mean, it's historic, it's monumental, but at the end of the day, we still have to hold our brother accountable. And as you mentioned in your earlier remarks, he's coming from a great line of scholars and thinkers. His uncle, Leonard Jeffries, who I've got you said he's one of your mentors, got a lot of love and respect about the scholarship of Leonard Jeffries. And we know that family has been indoctrinated, for lack of a better word, in the liberation and the struggle of Black folks in this country. So we're going to have to see, because this might open the door, and you tell me if I'm wrong in thinking this way, Brother Michael, but this may open the door for a different form of democratic expression, where it's a little bit more. But I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, jumping to conclusion.
Well, he's articulate. He's an attorney. He knows how to phrase things, and he's brilliant. Okay. Right. So, but we have to have an agenda. We have to be able to push our agenda the farthest and get the most accomplished, and understand it's going to be an uphill battle trying to get things passed in the House of Representatives. So what we want to do is set things up for 2024 to take back control of the House as well, and put Republicans in a position where they do the least amount of damage. Okay, because these are some crazy people. If you listen to them, you listen to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You listen. Bro,
I can't even do it, bro. Michael.
You listen to what they're talking about, what they're planning with the investigations, and then at the same time, I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she spoke at the conference that Nick Fuentes organized. Okay, well, Nick Fuentes showed up at he was the guest of Kanye West to have dinner with Donald Trump. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you have the Republican Party who's totally embraced this white supremacist, white nationalist rhetoric. They are the white nationalist party. So these are things that Hakeem Jeffries and the rest of the Democrats, Representative Pete Aguilar, who's going to be the chairman of the party caucus, and Representative Catherine Clark, Democrat of Massachusetts, who's going to be the House whip. These are the crazies that Democratic leadership is going to have to deal with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me just get a couple of comments from our online culture crew. Tiana, you said the House Republicans are going to waste time investigating bullshit.
They're going to have a bunch of meaningless. This is going to be Benghazi all over again. They did 7 Benghazi investigations. This is going to be meaningless, and there's going to be overreach, massive overreach from Republicans. It's going to backfire on them, and I think they're going to lose the House in 2024. I think Democrats will maintain control of the White House and the Senate, because they're going to show how crazy they are, and people are going to say, "Oh no, we can't have 2 more years of this."
Right. Absolutely. Real Brooklyn, you said other than him being a little too soft on important issues, he seems to be a good dude. I don't know if things he has done or led the way on is enough for me to have confidence he will be impactful. Any thoughts on that, Brother Michael?
Well, he's not in control of the House of Representatives. So he can push agendas, he can highlight our issues, things like this, but the Speaker of the House of Representatives controls which bills come to the House floor for a debate and a vote. Right. And Republicans have the majority, so it looks like they'll probably have 222 seats in the House, and Democrats will have 214. Well, it takes 218 votes to get any bill passed. So if you can't get a bill on the floor, then you can't get it passed. Same thing would be the case with if Nancy Pelosi was the House Minority Leader. Okay, right. Those are the rules of the House. That's why we have to take back control of the House in 2024, because if you can't get bills passed in the House, then you can't get them signed into law.
Absolutely. Dougie Fresh, you said if Trump can be president having never held any elected office, then surely Abrams can be a vice president. Stop saying what others can't do. What you mean is you can't do it.
Well, unless you were president yourself, I don't think. See, once again, Donald Trump was a fluke. He didn't even win the popular vote. This is what happens when you don't understand politics. Donald Trump was a fluke. Donald Trump came into people's homes week after week, year after year on a reality TV show called The Apprentice. Donald Trump was already a household name going back to the 80s before The Apprentice started. Donald Trump had about 80 million followers on Twitter. He had tens of millions of followers on Facebook. Now compare that. I love Stacey Abrams, but I understand how politics works. Compare that to Stacey Abrams following. Outside of Georgia, we're talking about nationwide. Right. Okay. Look, if she couldn't win the governorship in Georgia, then you think she's going to go from being state representative in Georgia to being vice president? That don't even work for white men. That's not how the real world works. No. And she would have been a better vice president than Mike Pence. Go look at Mike Pence's record. Mike Pence was a member in the House of Representatives. Mike Pence was the governor of Indiana. Pence was put on the ticket to balance out the fact that Donald Trump had no experience in politics. That's why Pence was put on the ticket, because he had experience in writing legislation for the federal government. He had gubernatorial experience. Stacey Abrams, state representative. She doesn't have gubernatorial experience. She doesn't have experience in running a state or a city or anything like that. That stuff, we have to stop dealing with these fairy tales.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate all of the comments that came in from our online culture crew. Look, Brother Michael, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's switch gears a little bit, because as we talk over, we've been to be focused on black men making what they say and where they stand. So we're going to move on from Hakeem Jeffries to LeBron James. I'm going to share with you what LeBron had to say about the double standard of media when it comes to telling the story or talking about where a person stands as it relates to Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and Kyrie Irving, who has been in a number of controversies relating to that infamous tweet. So I'm going to share with you what LeBron had to say, and I'm asking the question, does LeBron James have a point? Stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause, to long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Let's talk about NBA superstar and media mogul LeBron James, who is once again at the center of controversy around his recent comments relating to the double standard of how media has depicted the story of Jerry Jones, who is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and him being featured and pictured in a picture from 1957 in Little Rock, Arkansas, when Jones was 14 years old, standing at a protest against the integration of schools at that time. And LeBron James brings this comment up and saying, well, why didn't you talk to me or ask me questions about that situation where you asked me about the remarks or the tweet that was made by my brother Kyrie Irving. And so he had a few choice words on how there is this double standard in media, and I want to share with you what he had to say. Check this out.
I was wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about the Jerry Jones photo. But when the Kyrie thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us questions about that.
Okay.
Hold on. And I don't even want you guys to say nothing. When I watched Kyrie talk and he says, I know who I am, but I want to keep the same energy when we're talking about my people and the things that we've been through. And that Jerry Jones photo is one of those moments that our people, black people, have been through in America. And I feel like as a black man, as a black athlete, as someone with power and a platform, when we do something wrong or something that people don't agree with, it's on every single tabloid, every single news coverage. It's on the bottom ticker. It's asked about every single day. But it seems like to me that the whole Jerry Jones situation photo, and I know it was years and years ago and we all make mistakes, I get it. But it seemed like it's just been buried under like, oh, it happened. Okay, we just move on. And I was just kind of disappointed that I haven't received that question from you guys. Appreciate it.
Lakers LeBron James questions why media hasn't asked him about Jerry Jones photo scandal. And bringing my brother Michael and Hotep back into the conversation. Brother Michael, does LeBron James have a point?
Oh, not only does he have a point, he has a very good point. Because there's been like almost, now there have been a few articles written about this, but largely there's been silence from reporters when it comes to, from what I see, when it comes to interviewing athletes, after the game, things like this, because they were, a lot of the top athletes, they were asking them about Kyrie Irving, they may ask them about Kanye West, things like this. But here you have a white team owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Now there was, if you go back to the Colin Kaepernick protest, right? There was, Jerry Jones was against the players taking the knee, in protest against police brutality and racism, things like this. So he has an excellent point on this, and it's like a double standard. Now, yes, it was the photo was dated September 9th, 1957. Yes, Jerry Jones was 14 years old, but he should have to answer some questions. He should be held accountable. It's like, okay, explain this to us. Okay, what are your views now? When did your views change if they did? Why did you participate in this? Okay. And I want to know, is there any video footage as well? This was a still photo from what I see. Was there any video footage from that also? He should have to explain himself on this.
Well, I read, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, Brother Michael. I read Jerry Jones say when he was just there, that he didn't actively. Right. Okay. Right. He was just there. But I mean, you're 14 years old. Now, if you were like 4, it would have been, or 9, I would be like, oh, okay, I can kind of get it because your parents took you in it. But the fact was you were there. Well, who brought you there?
Well,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
And who brought you there? Because if your parents or a family member brought you there, that means you come out of that ilk as well. Right. Mm-hmm. And naturally, you got to ask those questions that you pose. Do you still carry those same beliefs? Were you in support of racist school policies that led to segregation? Now LeBron James, for folks who don't know, LeBron, this is not the second time. This is not the first time LeBron has actually gone against Jerry Jones. He is a Cowboys fan, but after Jerry Jones back in 2016 and 2017 told his football players, do not kneel during the anthem or there are going to be some severe consequences. And LeBron got wind of that. He decided to disavow his allegiance to the Cowboys. And he moved back over to Cleveland, his hometown, Cleveland Browns. but he's had he has bumped heads with Jerry Jones on race issues, and I think he brings up an excellent point. I think that and LeBron didn't even, and let's keep this out there as well. Even when Kyrie put out that tweet, LeBron wasn't in full support of that. Mm-hmm. He was not in support of that. But I love the fact that LeBron says, no, you're not going to beat up on my brother and want me as the person who has a power, the platform, the attention to beat up on him. And then you're not going to beat up on a man who is, look, I'm not surprised Jerry Jones has been it was seen in his photo. I'm not surprised. Have you ever heard this man? And I'm not saying you, Brother Michael. I'm saying for our watchers, have y'all ever heard this man talk? He talks about these players like he owned them.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's a straight slave owner. Mm-hmm. And it's like, bro, that's not how we roll in 2022. I appreciate LeBron for acknowledging this. And I love the fact that you got more and more black men in these major high profile positions who are saying, you know what? We're tired of y'all keep beating up on us, man. I love it, bro. I love it, Brother Michael.
I agree with that. And, we should call him out on the carpet because he has to explain himself. Now, that there's a article from the Washington Post that was written by Philip Bump on Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. A 1957 photo of Jerry Jones reminds us how recent America's past is. And now Jerry Jones is saying, so it was a protest of about a few dozen white teenagers who confronted a group of black students outside the doors of North Little Rock High in Arkansas. And so if he says he was just there, okay, well, did you attend the school? Why were you there with the protest? Did the protest just manifest itself out of nowhere? Was the protest organized? So he has to do a better job of really explaining this. And he needs to hold a press conference and explain what happened. Okay, we know you were 14. Okay, but what happened? Why you were there? What were your feelings at that time? Have your feelings changed? If they have changed, why have they changed? And how have they changed?
I agree. But here's what the arrogance of Jerry Jones is going to be. He's going to say, I bet you, if I was a betting man, Brother Michael, I would bet to say that man is not going to go through. He is not going to do a press conference. His arrogant ass is going to act as if he don't need to explain himself. And really it's going to come down to stopping the money coming into his pockets. Right. Like the NFL needs to, and the commissioner, Paul Tagliabue, needs to say something about this situation, because to LeBron's point, you talking about a tweet, about a documentary, right? That Kyrie didn't make, he didn't write, he didn't produce, he just tweeted. But you can't talk about a moment in time that was like you are fully engaged in that moment at a place, at a time where racism was yelling loud and strong. You don't, no. You need to be called to the carpet for it. Now, here's the other thing, and I'm sure you picked up on this as well. The NFL is much harsher when it comes to these type of moments, and they fumble the ball more than the NBA. This is why I said this. NBA players, they can, and I don't know if it's just because of the culture or if it's an unwritten policy or written policy, but the NBA player seems to have a little bit more leniency. Adam Silver, the commissioner for the NBA, he allows the players to express their political views, whether on the court with the shirts, they can say certain things without suffering the quote unquote the consequences. I don't think Adam Silver is going to check LeBron James, who is the face of the NBA, about this situation. But on the NFL side, black players have to stay silent at our own detriment. And y'all can check me Y'all can check me in on this and tell me if I'm wrong, but y'all can see how the NFL manages racism and social justice issues is way different than how the NBA does it. And I don't know, Brother Michael, if that's like, how should we look at that?
Well, number one, in the NBA, there are a lot less players. There are 11 players on the team. So
right.
their power is much more concentrated. Okay.
Right.
Whereas in the NFL, there's 53 players on the team. Okay, so it's much different. And in the NFL, their career, they have the shortest career out of the three major sports: football, basketball, and baseball. The average career in the NFL is about 3.6 seasons, whereas with the NBA, it's on average 5 seasons. So their power is more concentrated. And because there are a lot less players in the NBA, this increases the power of somebody like a LeBron James. There's an article that I just posted the link here. Maybe somebody can pull it up on the screen, Joel or Ariel. This is from businessinsider.com. And the name of this article is LeBron James called out reporters for not asking him about a 1957 photo showing Jerry Jones in the crowd preventing integration of his high school. This article is from December 1st, 2022. And they pick up the story from the Washington Post. And the Washington Post spoke with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones said that, and I'm scrolling down to this, Jones told the Washington Post that he had showed up to the high school out of curiosity, despite his football coach telling players not to go. He said, quote, I don't know that I or anybody anticipated or had a background of knowing what was involved. It was more a curious thing, end quote, he said. Now, Jerry Jones is 80 years old. He told reporters when asked about the photo that he is, quote, sure glad that we're a long way from that era. He
lying, bro. He lied through his damn teeth, man.
Yeah.
You know he lied because that same mentality is how he runs his business, how he runs the Dallas Cowboy team and organization. He lying.
Well, so at the same time, I don't know if there have been any statements from the NAACP, National Urban League, National Action Network, any other civil rights organizations. But there should be pressure on Jerry Jones to come forward, explain what happened, explain what your views were then, explain what your views are today. And African Americans especially, we need to look at, boycotting at least the Dallas Cowboys and not the NFL. Now, I may be biased because I haven't watched the NFL game since Colin Kaepernick left the league. So I don't care about the games.
I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you, bro, Michael. I still watch the games. I'm a Ravens fan.
No, I haven't watched.
I still watch the game, but here's the thing. Just like they put Kyrie Irving under a 6-point apology plan, right? Because he denied his view, just simply, and going back to a tweet. This is a tweet, folks, right? He denied being anti-Semitic. They still put him. The Brooklyn Nets still told him he needed to do all of these things, even after meeting with the commissioner of the NBA, who said, I do not believe that Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic. We should put the same level of accountability should be placed on Jerry Jones. He should at least be suspended or penalized financially, something, because of his curiosity.
And let me just say quickly.
Come on, bro. You don't know you racist?
The documentary was a documentary that is on Amazon.
On Amazon's
platform. Okay. So Kyrie Irving did not put the documentary on Amazon's platform. So you would think, okay, if it's on Amazon, Jeff Bezos, if it's on Amazon, it's okay for me to tweet about it. Doesn't mean that everything in a documentary is true. I'm in 7 documentaries. I'll be the first one to tell you, don't repeat things you've heard in the documentary before you go research it yourself. But you would think that, okay, if it's on Amazon, it's at least okay for me to tweet about it and let people know, hey, check this out. Come to your own conclusions on it. All right. So there's definitely a double standard here. And, African Americans, we have to, April 3rd, 1968, Dr. King talked about redistributing the pain through targeted, sustained economic withdrawal strategies.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have to be cognizant of where we spend our money and, what we participate in. So there should be consequences behind this, but we need to get a much better explanation from Jerry Jones than this.
Now, here's what one of our online culture crew members said. Why should he come out, speaking of Jerry Jones, and explain when y'all won't believe him anyway? Bree Bay, I see you. Bree Bay, I won't. I don't. This is not about him apologizing or trying to explain. I'm saying this is really about the response to the situation. Because Jerry Jones said he was there. Now, whether he was there out of curiosity or whether he was there because he believed it, we will probably never know. But what is going to be the response from the NFL? That's the point that needs to be made. We already know he was there. At this point, how is the NFL going to do this? And you mean to tell me this is why the NFL drops the ball? You know what I mean? I love the game. I don't like the politics of the organization, but I love the game. But this is why I think the NFL drops the ball. Because you don't have a system of accountability when these things come up, right? You don't make, and Jerry Jones needs to be made an example of. He needs to become the new example, right? Because you got too many black people and too many black players in the NFL who work for him, who friends with him, just like the John Gruden situation. Remember that, Brother Michael? John Gruden, everybody blasted his ass. He lost his job. He got kicked out because of some emails. So you mean to tell me
he was a head coach? He was a head coach. Where here you have an owner. But it's important to understand Roger Goodell, lead commissioner, works for the owners. They don't work for him.
Roger Goodell, right. Nasser Paul Taylor, you're right. Absolutely. Roger Goodell, thank you.
The power dynamic is different. The commissioner works for the owners. The owners don't work for the commissioner.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But there should be pressure outside of the NFL from African American organizations to get the facts of what happened here and to get a better response from Jerry Jones. But once again, I want to understand, what are Jerry Jones's views today? And then how do your actions fall in line with what you say your views are today?
There it is. And see, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about you already there. Now we're talking about how does you being there reflect where you are today?
Right.
How does you being there? You can't, and we know and understand. I think this is the important part. If you're serious about eradicating and stopping racism that's painted on your end zones, then you got to start with the owners. You got to start with the people that are making the decisions about the lives and the quality of life of black players who are managing black players. If you're serious, then you would make an effort to say, okay, Jerry, we may need to suspend you. We need to do an investigation. We need you to put out a statement. You got to say something. Because as a black man, if I was a black man and working in the NFL as a player, staff member, and I'm working for the Dallas Cowboys,
right?
And I wonder if any black player is really going to, is Emmett Smith, the greats of the Dallas Cowboys, any black players, are we going to see them coming out? Are they going to stroll them out?
Right. Because I know people were jumping on Stephen A. Smith for some of his comments, and you have people taking sides, things like this. Some people trying to defend him. Now, if he was 14 years old, if he say hypothetically he was 14 years old and a bigot at 14, okay, that probably largely had to do with how he was raised, because a lot of times at that age, those views that we have are shaped by our parents and our upbringing. Okay.
Yep.
So, okay, you were 14 then, but you're 80 now. I want to know how you think and act today Okay, that's why it's so extremely important today, because he didn't own a football team when he was 14,
right?
But he owns one now. Okay,
right.
so
composed of black players, mostly black players,
and we know that a large percentage of these players are going to develop CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. We know somewhere around 80% of these players, after they leave the league after a few years, they're broke.
Right.
Okay. So I want to know what your views are today, and show me how your actions fall in line with what you say your views are.
I'm looking at Dak Prescott. I'm looking at Ezekiel Elliott. I'm looking at them current superstars on the team.
Mm-hmm.
What they gonna say? How they gonna respond? What are they telling y'all to do in response to this situation? Dak, Ezekiel, what you gonna do, brothers?
Right.
Because that's LeBron James is talking from a different sport.
Right.
LeBron James is talking from a whole different sport, and he creating controversy, right? He's embroiled in this controversy. I want to hear from black football players who are part of the Dallas Cowboys, or other black players inside the NFL. What are we going to say? If we don't hear from no black players,
right. Well, this gets to the book $40 Million Slave.
Facts, bro.
This hits on this, and I'm not trying to call them slaves, but some of them are muted. Some of them are muted, and especially in the NFL, a lot of them don't have as much power as people may think they have when it comes going against a owner like that, somebody like a Jerry Jones. Okay, that's why a lot of that pressure has to come from outside of the NFL. Okay, and then there's an article here from LakersDaily.com. Stephen A. Smith on Jerry Jones' situation. If I was in that press room, I would have asked LeBron about it. This came out December 1st, 2022. So, we'll see where this goes, but there has to be pressure from, there needs to be pressure from civil rights organizations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, and I don't think this is something that we should let die either. We need to get a response from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a few moments left, Brother Michael, as always, giving you an opportunity to talk about some of your classes, your upcoming presentations. What you got for us, brother?
Well, actually, we have a special promotion going on this weekend from Thursday, December 1st through Sunday, December 4th, on the homepage of our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. I have, when you scroll down past the information dealing with the radio show, we have a new 15 lecture bundle pack. 15 of my lectures is on digital download format, so you can start watching right now. It's $150 value. It's on sale $50. Okay, these are 15 of my lectures. This is a great weekend promotion. Share this information with your family. This is the African History Awakens the African Mind from Mental Death. This 15 lecture bundle pack includes some of my lectures dealing with the film Black Panther. When you click on the link here, it shows you the lectures involved. You get presentations dealing with African history, African American history, politics, economic empowerment, Black Panther, Dr. King, Malcolm X, ancient Africans in America before Native Americans. All that's in this bundle. Then also we have November 19th, I did a lecture on the new Black Panther movie, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We have that on sale in digital download format. That's right below the bundle. That's on sale $10, so you can start watching it right now. Black Panther Wakanda Forever analysis, African and Mesoamerican culture, a shared history. And we get deep into some African history, African cultural influences we see in the film. We talk about some African American history as well as Mesoamerican history. And then the online classes, Our next class is Saturday. When we scroll down below that, our online class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Next class is Saturday, December 3rd, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Actually, we're going to do that early in the day. We're going to do that 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I have to update that 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday. We'll update that on the website. The course is on sale, $60, regularly $130. It is I do a PowerPoint presentation, book references, video clips, all of that. And we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. And then on Tuesday, December 6th, our next class for my Tuesday class, From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And we have both classes in a bundle pack on sale for only $100. That's over $260 value. So you can get the bundle pack as well. And you can use this information with your children. I would say the content is PG-13, but we have all that information on our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Yeah, so we have the second class that I teach that on Tuesdays, usually 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. We actually start the class in 1800 with the 1800 census. Then we look at the Louisiana Purchase of 1803 and the Haitian Revolution, because those events are related. And we go through and look at history chronologically leading up to the Civil War. We deal with Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, Great Migration, 1915 to 1970, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, to understand what happened to us after slavery ended, what were the laws and policies put in place to bring us to where we are today, to understand where we need to go from here. So that's all. TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And you can contact us through the website. You can also call us with any questions, 313-462-0003. 313-462-0003.
There it is. Brother Michael and Hotep, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate your time with us, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Again, yeah, absolutely. And folks, again, just go check out AfricanHistoryNetwork.com to get all the latest news and information. Definitely check out Brother Michael's podcast show. Definitely check out the classes and the curriculum. Great gifts, especially for this time of year. And, you know,
Christmas and Kwanzaa.
Absolutely. And, you know, we look forward to bring you back on, brother. You're doing double duty on Black Star Network. So we truly appreciate
it. Tomorrow on Friday, yes.
Right. My brother. I appreciate you, Brother Michael. Thank you so much, brother.
All right,
absolutely. Peace. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you. Thank you so much for all of our new watchers that are just tuned in today. Big shout out to my online culture crew. Y'all keeping the chats going, keeping the conversations going in all of our chats on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Black Star Network. So make sure y'all definitely continue to keep it going. Make sure y'all go to our website, checking us out at blackstarnetwork.com. If you are enjoying the conversations, if you love what we bring to the discussion, make sure you support us financially, share the content, let people know what we're doing. As we are always streaming something powerful, something major, something important and necessary, but support us financially and otherwise. Support blackstarnetwork.com. Also follow us on all of our social media spaces at Black Star Network on IG, Black Star Network on Twitter as well. And while you're there on social media, if you want to connect with me, you could do so right now at Farajii on Twitter, at Farajii, and The Real Farajii on IG. I would love to connect with you. Let's continue to build the community. And I'm just so grateful that so many of you are finding us here on the culture, here on the Black Star Network, continuing to have these discussions, cultural discussions that I think are very, very important and timely for us to have. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong, stand for what's right, while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow. And I'm expected to bring another new voice, another culture crew voice tomorrow. So can't wait for her to be on. So we'll have those conversations tomorrow. But again, thank you for tuning in this afternoon. God willing, we'll talk to you tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Peace.